real issues in my world came from the older sister, living 20 miles up the coast in a much busier city centre. My older sister, Phoebe May, was the ultimate reason for my choice of university, having chased her across country and leaving nothing more behind than the drunk of a father who'd rattled a fist in my direction as I said my goodbyes. It was a sense of duty, not just affection, that drove me to try to save the girl I'd lived my life with. Phoebe was bunked up with a much older boyfriend, and that much older boyfriend had opened a big host of debts in her name to pay for his crack habit, and hers along with it. Some of the debts would be settled in the courtroom, but plenty of others would be settled in the back alleys after dark. She told me so, through body-shaking sobs, at every opportunity she got. But even then, she'd go crawling right back to him for more. Her weaknesses didn't matter. She was my sister, and she was all I had that really meant anything in this world. A very dim light in a very dark tunnel. One that needed far more money than I had a hope in hell of getting together, and fast. I guess that's what made me insane enough to listen to the seedy 60-day stories with wide open eyes as my thumping pulse picked up pace in my temples. Carolyn Lane's sister really signed up for this 60-day stuff? I asked, as Pippa led up for breath and lipstick. She pressed her lips to even out the shade, then nodded. She sure did. What a filthy cow. I wonder if Carolyn herself will be following in her footsteps for an apartment of her own. Carolyn Lane was in my psychology lectures every Monday morning. I knew her sister was local. I'd seen them together down at the ice cream place by the pier that summer. Her sister was tall and pretty, with lush dark waves of mahogany locks down her back. My long waves weren't lush, and not quite so dark, but they glossed up nice with some half-decent conditioner. I may not have had the curves of the elder Lane sister, but mine weren't too bad in tight clothes, even if my hip bones did jut out a little. I was tall, and my features were even, and my eyebrows were groomed well enough that I got regular compliments in the campus hallways. Maybe, just maybe, I could get a similar rate of pay as Elder Lane did for her 60 days of submission. And if I could... You really heard this from Carolyn Lane's sister directly? I asked Pippa, trying to seem as nonchalant as possible. Her eyes twinkled as she shook her head. Not directly, through a friend of a friend who knows Carolyn Lane's sister pretty well, though. I shouldn't be considering it, not even for a second. I was inexperienced at best. My first time being with a guy who'd grown up in the same street and had offered me a sympathetic shoulder that previous spring. It turns out his shoulder was a lot less interested in being sympathetic once I started taking his dick in my mouth on a semi-regular basis. Looking at the girls I'd been thrust alongside in my dorm setup, I realized all over again that I wasn't made of the same stock they were. My eyes felt old and jaded, having seen too much in my lifetime to carry the same careless joy that theirs did on a night out. I felt aged before my time, weighed down heavy on my skeletal frame by the pressure of trying to rescue my sister from the dregs of drug addiction. The head on my shoulders felt weary and worn, rolled in the dirt by a childhood concerned with domestic duties rather than games in the yard. University should have been the land of possibilities and a brand new world calling, but it was anything but. Not with Phoebe so close to the edge of despair. I guess it's that which made a 60-day sentence of horrible men's whims seem like any kind of an option. And it did seem like an option. Option enough that I had to hold back a whole load more questions that would have given my college friends too much insight into my desperation. I buttoned my mouth, faking a smile bright enough to pass as being one of them. It was okay. The bar was busy and bustling, and I weaved through after them just fine. I was just a shadow in the corner of the beer garden bench, laughing along with the rest of the world. They barely even noticed when I slipped in a goodbye with a wave. I wondered if they'd notice if I slipped away more permanently. 60 days more permanently. By the time I reached my dorm room and collapsed onto my bed,